Liliesleaf is situated north of Johannesburg in the leafy suburb of Rivonia. 50 years ago this was farmland, and during that time it became a place of refuge for leaders in the liberation struggle in 1961. Today Liliesleaf is a national heritage site, but it's much more than just a museum or historical site. It is a living, breathing place of activity, dialogue and engagement. The various rooms of the old farmhouse now houses exhibitions in every room, starting with the entrance to the farmhouse.
Arthur Goldreich, Hazel and their two children moved on to Liliesleaf as the kind of white acceptable front. That's why we called it the white family facade, and they rented Liliesleaf from Navian Pty Limited for 100 Rand a month. But what was interesting was that Arthur and Hazel were both members of the Communist Party and were themselves very active in the liberation struggle.
The cutting-edge multimedia exhibition takes you on an interactive journey, bringing to life many fascinating stories, activities and events that helped shape our future as a nation.
So what happens here is if you move this wheel, it will then bring up certain configurations and images. And if you continue to move the wheel, it will enlarge those configurations. If you move back, you go back to the original and you can operate either side. Now, one of the interesting things about this table at the moment is you can only operate one side at a time. So that side, my right side, is being operated and the left side isn't, and someone comes in and operates the left. They interrupt the person on the right.
Liliesleaf Museum can be seen as the birthplace of Mkhonto we Sizwe, the military arm of the ANC, and it was on this farm that the MK leadership planned the struggle for liberation and justice.
What makes the thatched cottage the most significant site here at Liliesleaf was where they were meeting on the day of the raid. That's where they were meeting to discuss Operation Maibua, or more appropriately, debating Operation Maibua, the military plan to overthrow the apartheid government. And on the day of the raid, the police captured most of the leadership in the thatched cottage.
During the raid on 11 July 1963, extensive evidence was uncovered, including Operation Maibua, the plan which detailed how the resistance movement intended to overthrow the apartheid regime.
On the day of the raid, Arthur Goldreich describes how stunned he is because they come here to the coal shed and they uncover the papers. And those were the papers that were then brought to the Rivonia trial, and that's what enabled the security forces and the apartheid government to effectively bring Nelson as co-accused number one to the Rivonia trial because of his papers being found here.
It was at Liliesleaf that Nelson Mandela wrote many of his ideas and vision for the new South Africa, and the room he lived in at Liliesleaf has been carefully restored.
This particular crime scene photograph depicts the historical structures that you see in the foreground, and what we have over here is one of the interactive exhibits, and the one that I'd like to play to you is the one relating to Nelson's room, because it's quite appropriate in the sense of it describes his living conditions, but more than that, it really articulates to a large extent what we're also trying to achieve here at Liliesleaf regarding the selfless sacrifice, the selfless dedication and commitment shown by these great liberation leaders in striving to ensure that the memory of what they achieved or what they sacrificed is not lost and forgotten. So if I just press Nelson's room, this is
Room
Arthur
12. Nelson Mandela moved to Liliesleaf in October 1961, posing as the farmhouse boy and using his alias of David Mutsamai. He stayed in both the main house and the thatched cottage until the Goldreichs moved to the farm in December of that year. After that, Nelson Mandela used this room as a bedroom and study.
One of the objectives of Liliesleaf Trust is not only to preserve the narrative of our historical and political past, but to ensure that these stories are circulated and known, and that the hardship endured by the men, women and children who fought so long can continue to be heard. This is Linky Bierman for Morning Live, Liliesleaf Farm, Rivonia.